Hello everyone. For the better part of the last decade, I've been known as a filmmaker and photographer. My work spans different domains. I work in fashion, performance, weddings, street photography is a very close passion of mine, and also portraiture. What most people don't know is I actually started my professional career at the age of 18 when I was pursuing an undergrad degree in biotechnology. I started as a freelance copywriter. I started working with agencies, with corporates, and I also had an interest in painting, and I won a few national awards. And then I discovered the amazing world of music, and I became a performing musician for the next 3 years. Following that, I decided to pursue arts full-time and went into film studies in Australia. And there I wrote and directed a few award-winning shorts. And then I moved back to India and decided to take a sabbatical from film. And I jumped headfirst into visual design. I started working with a few European design studios who worked in sustainable design. And then I switched gears again and moved into online publishing. I set up international video and photo editing teams for America Online, my first and only corporate job. And following that, I decided to set up on my own and become an independent filmmaker and photographer. And over the last year, I set up Miraki, which is basically a platform for emerging artists to come in, find new audiences, find mentorship, and also for everyone engaged in the artistic practice, regardless of discipline or regardless of the experience that they come with, to come together and engage. Now, this has been an incredible and multifaceted journey. There have been moments of amazing gratitude, amazing gratification, and also periods of crippling down. And the only reason I've been able to sort of get through all of this is in my unshakable belief in the immeasurable power of human potential. I really believe this. This is a quote by one of my favorite authors. A human being should be able to change a diaper, butcher a hog, design a building, write a sonnet, pretty much do anything. Specialization is for insects. Now, most of us don't really acknowledge our true potential. I believe the universe really digs deep inside and buries inside its jewels. You know, we all have skills, hidden talents, dreams, hopes, desires, and it's up to us to really dig deep in ourselves, to introspect and really excavate these out. We are able to break out of our patterns. See, we are usually creatures of habit. You know, we like to fall into our patterns. We have society, we have institutions, we have families, spouses, friends, who all ask us to conform. You know, we don't like the idea of not being defined. We don't like the idea of not having a label. But if you look at it, our life is nothing but a sum of our experiences. And our experiences are completely derived from what we do and what we know. So if we allow ourselves to limit our life to what we know, then are we really living our potential? And which is why I feel that it becomes important for us to be able to push through, to push ourselves further into the unknown. I think we spend too much of time thinking about, you know, a lot of times people talk about a midlife crisis, and I'm midlife now, and people think, you know, it's a time where you're really confused and you don't know what you have to do and all of that. But really, any time in life, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to unravel ourselves, to unwind, to re-look at what we understand, to sort of let go of the life that we always thought we were supposed to live and start thinking about the life that we want to live. To let go of these ideas and notions of who we are meant to be or who we have been told that one should be, and start really embracing and discovering who we truly are. So personally, I find the idea of settling for doing one thing for the rest of my life very unsettling. I mean, if I were to tell any one of you that this is going to be your specific life for the next 5 years, this is what you're going to get up in the morning and do afternoon, evening, day in and day out, how boring would a predictable life be, right? So I think in order to be able to push through, in order to be able to really discover more within ourselves, there are a few guiding principles that I want to share here today, and I have a fairly lengthy presentation, so there's a lot of content, and I hope you find it useful, because these are ideas and notions and principles that have helped me in this journey so far, and they continue to help me. Starting with this, which is a quote by Einstein, that, you know, you can really live like everything is a miracle or not. And it embodies something that I feel is one of the most magical virtues that we have as human beings, which is a sense of wonder. I think we don't spend enough time thinking about wonder. And, you know, have you ever seen children play? You know, they are full of excitement, they're full of curiosity, they're immersed completely in wonder. They can sort of re-look at familiar things and still find something new. They're never bored. You know, they listen to songs on repeat for months on end, the same TV shows, read the same bedtime stories over and over again. But they always find something new. And, you know, we're all born with this quality. Wonder exists in all of us. But somehow, sometimes, you know, we let it erode over time. And then when we are not able to hold on to it, we try to live it through our children. But I think it's so important for us to be able to nurture wonder, because through wonder, we are able to define how we interact with the world around us. Wonder leads us to curiosity. It allows us to be playful, to be curious and fearless as a child. You know why children are fearless? They're fearless because they're too busy observing and absorbing the experience that they don't have time for fear. They don't have time for, oh my God, what's going to happen? They just go and do it. And I think that also, of course, goes into mindfulness and being in the present, but I think that's so important for us to be able to do. And when you start doing this over a period of time, you will realize that, you know, we could either be a victim of the world outside us, but it's not really the world outside us that defines us. It's how we choose to see it. It's what we choose to see. It's how we choose to perceive the experiences and stimuli that we absorb and process that really makes us who we are. We're able to derive joy in small things. And I'll give you a very simple example of that. The place where I live, I live in a penthouse, and there's a balcony, and there's 2 trees which are connected with telephone wires. And every morning, there's a bunch of squirrels that cross from the 2 trees, hanging over the telephone wires. And every day or every other day, I've derived so much of joy in this. It doesn't help me in anything, but it really makes me human. It makes me happy. It gives me joy. And from there, I am able to then create from bliss. Once you are able to sort of get into and really commit to living a life of wonder, you will notice that the familiar around you is no longer familiar. Everything is magical. You're able to really re-look at old ideas. You're able to look at concepts and let your imagination run wild. Ideas will come to you in abundance, and at the end of the day, that is what is at the crux of a creative life. So this is another quote that I'd like to share. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes, but art is about knowing which ones to keep. When you live a creative life, one of the main things that all creators face on a daily basis is fear. So let's talk about fear. Fear is the enemy of creativity, of course. And let's get into what you'll be afraid of before you sort of jump into your own creation. So here's what most people think. So you're afraid that you don't have any talent. You're afraid that whatever you put out is going to be ridiculed, ignored even. You're afraid there's no market for it, so it doesn't have a place, so why bother doing it? You're afraid you're too young, you don't have enough experience. You're afraid you're too old. Oh my God, how are you going to change your life? You're afraid that your parents won't approve. You're afraid of the friends who make more money. It goes on and on and on. Now, at the risk of sounding a little morbid, let me give you a little bit of perspective. On a long enough timeline, none of this matters, and I'll tell you why. We are all going to die. It's a fact. Everyone we know is going to die. Every single person that we know who cherishes us is going to perish. Every idea we put out, every thing that we create, every invention, every artistic creation is going to be superseded by others. in the long enough timeline, in the infinite dimension of the universe, most likely, we are all going to be forgotten. It's a fact. So there, pressure's off. Now can we play? Can we let curiosity and wonder take over? Can we sort of move beyond these notions of how we will be perceived? You know? And one of the mistakes that most creators make, including myself, is that we fear perfection. But I think it's important for us to be able to move beyond this. We need to really develop over a period of time an intimate relationship with fear and understand that perfection is nothing but a mirage. We will never get there because whatever has been done can be done again, and it probably can be done better, right? I think the other thing that we really spend a lot of time thinking about is, what do people think of us? No one's really judging you. Honestly, you're not that important. I'm not that important. Nobody has the time. They're all too busy figuring their own lives out, dealing with their own challenges. They have their own hopes, their own dreams, their own fears. So, you know, just focus on yourself. Don't really bother what other people think. And also, once you start kind of rewiring your brain to this, you kind of understand that there is no positive or negative experience. There is just experience. You just take it and move on. That's all we can do. So the next time you face fear, consider yourself lucky. You know why? Because if you're able to use the tools of wonder, of curiosity, of imagination, then you will be able to penetrate this wall of self-doubt. And beyond that wall lies courage. And when you get into the realm of courage, it opens up a whole realm of possibilities that you would never thought were possible. So this is a quote by a Buddhist monk. Chaos should be regarded as extremely good news. I know most of us don't really think that way, but I'd like to talk about change. I think change is the only real constant, but we don't really understand how important it is. And to give you an example of that, this is a photo taken in 1956, I believe in the United States, and these guys here are pushing a 5 megabyte hard drive. Okay, that's 50 years ago. So imagine me going to any one of these guys, or any one of you really, and saying, hey, you know what? I have a device which fits in the palm of my hand, where in a second I can access every single human experience, information, data immediately available. And it's available to all humans, and they think you're crazy, right? And this was 50 years ago. So we live in an ever-changing world. You know, we live in a world which has 2-second attention spans, endless scrolls. Technology is changing us, changing how we interact with one another, how we work, how we, aspire for professional careers. So, as of today, embracing change is no longer a good to have, it's an absolute must have. And one of the ways that I've found to be able to sort of really be able to be adaptable and bring it into my life and be adaptable to change is by developing a skill. Now, and this is something I absolutely tell every single person that I meet. Go out there, find something you love, find a skill. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if you're a banker who wants to be a baker. It doesn't matter if you're an engineer who wants to study veterinary science. It doesn't matter. Find a skill, more than one. And I'll tell you why. When you start developing a set of skills, biologically, and this is my biotech brain speaking, your brain starts firing off neurons. You actually biologically stay younger, you stay more active. It allows you to stay nimble, it allows you to adapt, to evolve. You're able to really take on whatever life throws at you. And once you accept this, you realize that you are basically carrying then within yourselves the seeds of independence and opening up a world of possibilities regardless of circumstance. As I stand here today with the skills that I have no fear because I can move any country, anywhere in the world and start out doing something that I may not have done before. Why? Because I've done it before and it doesn't really matter. It's the journey and it's the process that one finds engaging. It's how you sort of derive that imagination and passion and then just translate it. it becomes way more important than just living. So pursue what you love, that's a condition. But don't worry about making it a career, not just yet, but one day, and as time goes by, and especially in our country, there are more and more people who are sort of putting their day jobs and getting into things that they love. One day you just might want to make a career of that. One day circumstances may present themselves. You may get laid off, companies may shut down, a tsunami may hit, I don't know, something may happen. And when that day comes, you will be glad to have that parachute, that skill that you chose to develop. This is something that I follow. Remain a student of life for life, and that's the only way to really imbibe change. The next thing that I want to talk about is authenticity. I believe authenticity trumps originality. You know, we spend too much of time thinking, oh, you know what, this idea has to be original, it can't have been done before, blah, 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 blah. I feel it's more important for us to be honest than original. And the reason I say that is because today, everything is a remix of another remix. We are in a world where we have infinite information available to us just like that. We live in a world where there's layers of influences right from the dawn of time, from the dawn of human civilization till now, that in some way color us. So when we get into the process of creation, it's impossible for not having influence. It's impossible to not be inspired. But at the end of the day, when you're creating, what is more important? You want to sort of go out there and you want to move audiences. You want to move people, right? The only way you're going to be able to change a person or influence a person or change the way they think is by influencing the way they feel. You're never going to be able to do that unless you create from a place that creates a ripple within yourself. And which is why it's important to take your work very personally. It has to mean something to you. It doesn't matter whether it means something to someone else or not. If you're able to create with honesty, if you're able to really look at fear in the eye, say these are my inhibitions and this is how I pull through them and this is where I use the tools of curiosity and wonder and imagination and passion and put something out, and it may not be perfect, but it is me. That is what is going to shine through. So the true price is not what living you're going to make. It's not what networks you're going to make. It's not what gets on your resume. It's really how much of your own life are you prepared to exchange for your dream. Thank you.